Okay. Please, class, tell your friends to log on. We are going to start early today. I won't wait for the usual 40 people to get started. Since we are not going to have Wednesday, and yet we're not going to have another day to compensate for it. So we just want to cover all that we need to cover on Monday and Friday. Yeah, so those who have logged on, please put in the group that they were not waiting, we are starting. I'm going to pray and we start at whatever number we are at. Okay, so let me pray and then Mr. Geoff will get started. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you that we are alive and well. Thank you that we went through the weekend and we can come back to learn. I ask that Lord shall bless us, bless Geoff, all the students, help them, provide them with power and data, help those who need to log on quickly, not to be dozing, thinking we are starting late. But may we all be able to execute what we need to execute today. In Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for the quick prayer. Today we're going to be looking at object-oriented programming. And there are key concepts that we need to understand. But just to lay the foundation, you need to understand that how you organize your code into objects, involving like situations like instances of classes. You need to focus so much on how you can reuse some of these modules. Mr. Livingstone, I believe, has covered a lot on defining functions, modules. So we will look at some modules that you can, and even the methods that you can use to initialize your program. So my focus today is going to be on how you can deal with the reusable modulars and then structures like attributes and methods in objects-oriented programming in a real-world scenario, because I'm going to use practical examples. Probably you've interacted with your bank account, you know how to do some bit of data hiding, how to show data. So all those we can be able to do it using object-oriented programming. And we're going to cover 6 key concepts like classes, objects, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and then abstraction. These are the core concepts in object-oriented programming. If we were not going to have, if we were going to have Wednesday, I think we would cover the other 3 on Wednesday, but I will try as much as possible. Because I have a lot in store, especially with different practical examples that you guys can use. So let's see if we can get started as we wait for other people as I introduce the concept, but that won't take long because I definitely want us to move faster. So this should be the subtopic that we're going to look at, which is going to be object-oriented programming. You know it as OOP, okay? Now, under object-oriented programming, there are key concepts that we have to look at whenever you're focusing on learning object-oriented programming. So let's see those key concepts, and these key concepts will guide us throughout our learning, because when you have the concepts, it's become quite easier for you to follow. So the key concepts in OOP, of course, now I'm abbreviating it because in OOP, so let's see if we can try to list all of them. So that is easier. I do a lot because of typing here, because I want you to follow along at your own time. But just know we have probably one. I told you there are 6. We have what they call, need to have good practice of typing. Class, then we also have object, and then encapsulation. Then we have 4, which is inheritance. Then we also have, yeah, polymorphism. Then we also have, that's 5, 6. The last one, it's abstraction. Abstraction. All right. So these are basically what you're going to learn today. We would have covered this first 1, 2, 3 today, and then we finish up with the other remaining. But I'll cover all of them today. Don't worry. We will minimize screen sharing, and then I'll see what to do, and then I probably will minimize. But we'll look at complex examples. That's the good news. All right. With that in mind, now I think we could start and look at our first. We can look at our first those small key concepts. So let's start with the first concept, class. Remember, I told you one thing, that it's a good practice when you're dealing with what? When you're dealing with Visual Studio Code Editor, as long as you put that, it would really know what you want to do. Now you can even see, instead of me struggling to explain what a class is to you, now you can see here, Visual Studio Code is telling me that a class is a blueprint for creating objects. So that is it. So it makes it much easier. Now, for me now, I am just supposed to introduce a simple example, but that is the meaning of a class. And in what we always know is that a class is a blueprint for creating objects. So it defines the structure of the class, which can be encapsulated with a data attribute. For example, if you want to look at, let's look at it in terms of a car example. You want to define a class car, then within the car, you have the attribute, the make, the model, the year. Then you can use the method to initialize, to call the constructors, which helps to invoke your code, or help to invoke that object to create a class. And then later you can argue it out. You can pass in your arguments. If you want to print maybe like the engine start, stop, all those things, you can play around with it in what? In Python. So let's see if we can first have a simple example. The number is growing, it's already 60 something. Now we're going to look at example 1. And I've always said that whenever you use the word example 1, and then you talk about what you like, maybe I'm going to talk about car or cars. The good news is that even you've given easy work for your tab 9, and then because it's an AI tool, it's start thinking about the different examples that probably anyone probably in the world could have tried on cars, or because all these concepts are not new, they're on the internet. So that's the advantage with tab 9. So it will know, probably you want to play around maybe with examples of in cars. What are you going to look at? What are the different attributes in cars? Normally, which you would know, you look at the model, the make, the year. That is it. So that is the only beautiful thing with what? with dealing with classes. So let's see it in real example. Now we're going to have we're first going to name our class car, where you see it is even suggesting for us. So let's first rename a class car. Now this class car, just do that. I told you you need also to know what you're doing with your code, especially when you're dealing with what with this suggestions, automate some suggestions for you. You might just press the tab because when you press tab, whatever it displays puts, but which may not be right. You need to know what you're doing and what you want. So let's now define. Now you see, it's even making it much easier, but I need just to see if this is what I want. I need to initialize the method to get this, the self, the make, and the model, the year. Okay, I think this can work for me. Now, I don't need the color bit of it for now. My interest is here that I want to have two methods. One is engine should start, and then the other one is engine should stop. That's the output I just want to print. I want it to display. Okay, that's why you see you're displaying self here. All right, so this is what I will do to make it much easier. What am I going to display? So I'm going to display, my display details is going to change, because first I need it to, let's pass this method here. Start engine. This is just going to return start engine. Then what is going to be the output? Now I want it just to print for me engine started. Okay. Then okay, then I can also, I want it to, when engine stops, engine stop engine. Yeah, I can also have that engine stopped. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create the object so that it can start the engine and stop the engine. So now when I try to execute my code, hopefully if there was any error, I would see problems. If it is not, should be able to execute that code. Just the file name, which is Geoff _ Geoff.py. Okay, even if meaning taking you up to around 12:30 or 1, we would be okay as long as we finish the concepts today. All right, so let's try and check. So you realize when we initialize using these methods, we do not get any output, okay? We do not get any output. But the good news is that we can now improve this code further so that we can create an instance where the class for cars can use to get the modules of these cars. And now when we get the module of the cars, because we already created the module, the year, then we can probably try to print out to get the output of the modules. But still, let's first try to get that output engine started. So what we're going to implement here, we're going to just have to create some access method to call the method using some annotations. So let's see if we can do that in real life, okay? So let's first see how best we can implement that. Okay. Think about it for a second and let's see how we can have that. So let's first create what we call an instance of the car so that we can have the object and we can name that object my car. Now, in my object car, we can create some tuple to get basically, let's look at probably in terms of the make. We can have a make like Toyota. And we can also have another make like Corolla. Not like that. Corolla is that. And then we can also get the year. Maybe it's a 2022. Okay. All right. Now what we can do here, we can then access the attributes of that car. Like we can say, let's look at the car make, the car model, and the car, because here we have the car make, and then the car model, and then the year. So let's see if we can access that. So we can try to just look at it by, let's create some print car make, okay? This one, we expect it to give us the make of the car, which is a Toyota. And then we can also try to print to have a car, my car module. My car module. And my car year. Okay. So now this can even help to be easier to check if we can check when the engine has started or my car engine has stopped. All right, so let's try to run this time around the output and see. So you see here, we can see that we're able to start our method to access what is within the car object, like my car, like the make of the make, which contains maybe the car module and then the year. So the module is Toyota, so you can have this executed in your terminal. We're going to also look at one more example. Okay, maybe three more examples, because this example is basically you are accessing the make of the car, the model, and you've created my car to be the object. So that is one probably simple example that you can have, and then we can call those methods to check if you can start the engine and then stop the engine, and the corresponding actions are displayed in our terminal. So let's see if we can look at one simple example. one more example. Let me close this. Let's look at one more example. I'm first going to give you the scenario, then we will see how we can implement it using our code. We're going to look at a typical bank scenario. In the bank scenario, you're looking at your bank account. Are you able to deposit money? Are you able to withdraw money? Okay. And then are you able to display your bank account? So we are going to demonstrate it using what we call the class, and then we can try to deposit money and withdraw money. And in this example, it should be a little bit easier because you know very well how it is easier to implement how to withdraw money. So let's look at example 2, which is going to be a typical scenario of a bank account. Now, we first need to define a class for bank, okay? Okay, I think this is suggesting for me something here. Okay, so let's check. Okay. Ooh, okay, so here, tab 9 has suggested for me a typical example of a bank account. So we created a class bank account. Now what we're doing here, we're passing in the method to self-check the account number and the balance. Then here, if you deposit, the deposit, you're defining function deposit. So if you deposit money, it increases. If you withdraw, it will what? If the greater amount of money, you will less it with the balance. And then now, if the money is less, then it will, otherwise, if you're trying to withdraw what you don't have, you'll get this message, insufficient fund. Then you can display your account number, okay? And then you print your balance and the account number. So let's try to create an account number in it, okay? So let's create an account number because we don't have an account number where we're going to withdraw money from. So, and we're just going to create a bank account, object. So from that statement, from that code above. So for bank account, it's even suggesting something here. Let's see. Of course, it was going to be my account, and then once you have that, you can also display the balance. Of course, that's not what I want to do right now. Right now, I'm interested in first having it to print for me the account number. So let me hash this other part of the code out. And let's now check if it should be able to, in the terminal, should be able to display for us the account number and the amount, the balance that we have right now. Okay. It's not. Okay. Okay. So let's perform one more operation, probably to display the account number, because we cannot. Here we just created the account number. So let's perform an operation on that account. Let's perform operations. on the account bank object. So the operation that we can perform is to display to display our balance in the account, because we already have the balance. So okay, so when we do this, should be able to okay, let's run it and see. My account display balance, it should output for us our account balance. So let's try that and see. Oh, there's something which is not right here. Oh, did I just use tab 9 and it skipped one important thing? Okay. Okay, trace back error. Oh. Of course, now this is debugging, so we can debug this problem. Said attribute error, bank object has no attribute display balance. Okay. Has no attribute display balance. Let's check it. Okay. Deposit solve. Okay. This is display balance. So okay. We could see the problem here. And an indent amount does not match the previous indent. Okay. Okay. All right, let's run and see. All right. So you need to know one thing, that sometimes when you're using tab 9, you'll experience this. It's anyway, that is now the actual programming, because now you have arrived to programming. You will experience this stuff and you need to figure out how to solve this. Yeah, but of course, Livingstone is going to teach you more on debugging. So indentation is quite important, because sometimes you tend to get a lot of challenges when you use tab 9 and you run, you find its code is being, it executes and doesn't output in your terminal. So you should be able to try it out and see that now here, when you try to check your account balance, when you deposit and then you withdraw, because here we have used withdraw, here we have deposited 500 to this account, which had a balance of 1,000. When you withdraw, you will definitely get the balance of 1,300. So if you change this to maybe like 100, and then save this other part, then you run and you see, your balance changes because you're making a typical withdraw. Okay, if this example is quite probably complex, we could look at a simple example here in real life. I'll do about 3 examples always. Don't worry. If you don't get it in the first example, I'll try to explain it in the second example. Let's try to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. That is quite easier for you. But that's also simple. So it's still going to be in the similar way. I may not be able to write all this code because tab 9 will always suggest. That's why I'm putting rectangle there so that tab 9 can help me understand, because these are built on AI. And that's what most developers do a lot. You always don't, you see, it's even suggesting for me here. But even when you press tab, okay, that's why I told you to have your codes written very well. You need to go to File, you go to Preferences. I want you to understand why it's helping me format that stuff. Then you come to Setting. Then when you come to Setting, we did this, we went to File. No, we just said Format on Save. So this is one thing that you need to do. When you check this box here, now this helps you to whatever code that tab 9 will, okay, suggest for you. For you, you're interested in seeing if I can pass maybe some value within the object so that I can calculate to get maybe like I want to get calculate the area or the perimeter of that rectangle. So if you have this, it helps you to, once you check that and you tab 9 suggests for you what you're trying to do, because here we have a class called rectangle. Now initialize, we have the rectangle is having what they call the perimeter, which is the length and width. So here you self-check, okay, in the variable for length and then width. So here you define a function that will calculate the area. Okay, now here it will return self this and self width. So it's multiplying this time that. Also to calculate the perimeter. So it will return self length plus self width to get the perimeter. So if you want to get an output, because let me hash this example up. We shall debug still in case any error comes. That shouldn't be a big challenge. I know you guys are now getting to the actual programming. All right. Now here we need to create an object first, because if I clear this and run, you get no output. Trust me, you get no output. You see now, but if you create an object and then we pass maybe like some values for the width and the length, then we will be able to what? We should be able to, let's see, let's create some object. Let's create, I just want to write this so that it's easier, because commenting is a good practice for any programmer so that you can have your code readable. So now here it has suggested for me, we could have my rectangle and you can probably any value, probably 15 and 4. Okay, so we have passed in 15. The 15 is going to be the long, which is going to be the length and the width. Okay, then we can now, if you want to get the output, I'll show you how to do this. Because, okay, let's say print output. You see tab 9 has suggested this, but I've told you, you always have to be very careful. Then print width, okay? Now here, you can now use print my rectangle calculate area. Then you can also print my rectangle calculate the perimeter. So here what you're trying to do, you're trying to display an area and the perimeter. From this part here, let me just comment this part so that you understand. Here you're displaying, you're calculate and display the area of the rectangle and the perimeter. Okay. So when you save this now and run your script, it will now show you. The first one is trying to show us that print my length. So the length is what? 15. Print my width. It's 5. Now when you calculate the area, so we said here that the area is self-length times width, which gives us, we defined it here, define the function. And now it's calculating the length by width. Now I want us to go and look at one practical example. If I'm fast, I'll be able to take some questions, but let's look at one practical example using classes. You'll create a class for student that will display your student name, the year in which you are in the course. Like right now, you're in year 2. And that is year 2 and what the course you're doing. Okay. So that is one other example that I feel you could also use it so that you understand it very well. So let's see in our example 3, which I'm sure you, example 3 is going to be a university student. Now, in the university student example here, I'll try to control what I want. Now here, I'm going to create a class student, okay? Now, in the class student, I'm going to define to initialize, suggesting for me, I'm going to pass in the name, year, and course. Self-check name. Yeah. Okay, that is it. That's what I wanted. Then, you need to be careful when you, okay, we will. Now we can also define it to display, because here we just want it to display. Define it what? To display details of the student. Display underscore student. But why not call it your details? Okay. So it's self-check your detail, and we want it now to print name, year, and course. That is it. But when you run this, I'll comment the other upper part, because when you run, still get, yeah, let me just comment, you won't get an output. Okay, let's clear it and run again. All right, so you don't get any output right now. Now what we can do, because we want it to print, we want it actually to display our details, which is going to be name, and first we need to create an object like me, my name, and my name and the course I'm doing, so that it can output it. So how I can do that is, let me just create student object. Now my student object, which is going to be my student, okay? Remember, my student is a variable, and the student here is a class. The good thing when you point over, when you hover over it, it will tell you this is a type, this is a variable, and then this is what? A class student. So in the class student, I can have, it's giving me examples, suggestions here, like name, year. It's suggesting what I can do. So let me do name, year, and course. Okay. Now, okay, let me press, oops. So name, okay. You know, name is always written in, to display it. Okay, my name is just Geoff. Okay, Geoff. Then I can separate it. Yeah. Which year am I in? Maybe I'm in third year. I just put 3, which is an integer, still has to return. Then the course, which course am I doing? Software engineering. Software, okay. Okay. All right. So now, oops. There's a problem somewhere here. Oh, we use name. So okay, let's not call it name. Call it maybe it's going to be okay. What do you think? Let's do a registration number. Still, we're going to have an issue. Okay, just keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. First do student here. Let me just keep it simple. Might complicate everything. So I'll just put my name, which is going to be Geoff, and I'm going to put my year and my course, which is going to be software engineering. So now our Python is happy with that. We no longer have any error, because I was seeing some error coming in, because now I can display my student detail. So here I can display student details. I'm commenting this so that you can follow it easily. Now, yeah, display my details. All right, so I should be able to have my name. In this example, I'm now illustrating. You can have the attribute name, year, and course. And then you also have the method, which is here, method, which will my student display details. Okay, this will help to display my information in this method here. Okay, when you hover over it, you see it's method define, then self student, and you've created a student object, which is this one, and now you want to output. So Python will use the class and help to display your details. Now, when I rerun this, don't forget to save, Control S, and then just run your, so you can see it's now saying name, Geoff, yeah, software engineering. That's the course I'm doing. So this is a typical example how you can use Python with classes. I've given you 3 examples. So I'll allow only 2 people to share their screen, those who have succeeded, because I also want to see what is on that side. So I'm going to allow a boy and a girl, or maybe 2 people to share their screen. Then we shall see. Okay. So let's stop here. You can now share your screen. Strictly 2. Only 2 people to share their screen.
So you're first.
Yeah, I'm fast. I know why I'm fast today.
Yeah, so this is what I've done so far. The student class is there, the rectangle class is there, and the bank account class is there, along with the car class, and their respective objects have been created to display the attributes and methods of the class. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Okay, let's have a lady. I'm actually not fast. It is tab 9 that is making me fast.
Things are printed, but this is the car class. So that's the car.
You're having some errors.
Next that, and this I had to add.
Yeah. Need to maybe comment that example thing.
Yes, so that's the car.
Check. Not yet. It's not yet done. Just check your name is still in what? Still warning. That means yeah. Okay. Now there are no issues.
The rectangle, and then the student as well.
All right. That is nice. People are saying I'm fast. Might have to compensate.
Yes. For those who are saying that Mr. Geoff is fast and you logged on late, on Wednesday won't be having a class. So we're trying to cover up also Wednesdays, at least half of Wednesday's work, and then maybe Friday. Yeah, so Wednesday is a public holiday. So I encourage you to put on your thinking heads. You know, sometimes you can be in class and you're a bit, you know, your mind wanders here and there. Today, don't wander anywhere. Just have a notebook by your side. Whatever you feel you're missing, you take note of it, because you're going to have this recording anyway. You shall have it for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By the time you come back on Friday, you'll be sorted. So I encourage you to pay maximum attention. Yes, understanding should be your priority. That's true. That is true. I'm sure if you asking, Mr. Geoff will answer. Okay.
Yeah, I will answer. If there's any questions,
ask. Okay. Yeah.
I'll answer.
At least you can either put up your hand, and then Mr. Geoff will stop and you unmute and ask, or you type in the chat. But it's easier if you put up your hand because you stop him right there. When you type in the chat, you may not see straight away what you want.
Yeah, I may not see, because I'm also looking at the problem here and trying to solve them as they come.
Okay. So Mr. Geoff can take some questions.
Yeah, I can take questions.
Okay, so Celia, you can ask.
Madam, what will be the deadline for submission?
We are asking things for learning. Nobody is talking about submission of anything at the moment.
No, I'm like, if it's too fast and they're supposed to catch up later, then I'm wondering.
Oh, I will
We shall
extend.
cross that bridge when we come to it.
We'll extend that for because but these things are not difficult because you see, I don't know whether Livingstone has covered functions and modules because I'm just carrying on. I'm only building on, and even when you go on internet and even when I typed here, you see, when you're dealing with classes, let me explain this I'm going to be very slow, but let me explain classes, even if in 1 minute, but slowly, okay? I'm using this example to explain class. Now, what it means in object-oriented programming, when you're dealing with class, it's just a blueprint for creating object. You see, we are creating object here. That's why I'm trying to comment for you so that you should understand in a simple, because I know you, even when you're writing your code in the actual development environment, take an example like you are in the bank. You want to check your account balance. You want to check your if you have withdrawn, you want to get the display. We already use, I taught you operators, but why you need to use in object-oriented programming, why you need to use a class is because it will define for you the structure and then the behavior of the object. So that's why if you look at this method here, where we are trying to look at to display name, year, and that, to print this output. Now, when you create that, because a class will encapsulate, we'll reach that part, encapsulate what attributes you have. So here you see, we have the attribute for name, year, course. And then the method will operate the data, okay? This method here will operate the data. Then it will later help you to output, which you just probably want to see the output. And that's why we use classes. So basically, the word, just think about it briefly, that a class just helps you for you to define structure and how objects behave. That's why when you create this object here, now we want to display this object. So you see how these objects are behaving in this method. In the name here, name, it is displaying now self-check. It checks self-check name. Okay. Now, because we have already defined and initializing it, so that is why we use. There's no any other better way to explain it, because even when you Google online, class is a blueprint that helps you to create object. That is it. That's the simplest way to explain it. That's why I've given you 3 examples. In our first example here, we are trying to, let me go back to the first example here. No, the first example is maybe a little bit more advanced. Let's just look at rectangle. Now, I'm going to explain the code one by one, line by line. That is what probably would bring confidence to you. So when you create a class.
Your screen is not shared.
Eh?
Your screen.
Oh, my screen is not shared. Okay. I'm sorry. I think I missed a lot. There are 2 people who have put up their hand. The screen is not shared. Owen, unmute and.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. I have tried to run the student class, but I'm getting an error which I failed to debug. Maybe I
No,
press
this share your screen. We'll look at it and fix it.
okay, so that's my screen. When trying to run the
But I've already seen the error. Okay, when you try to run, student is not defined. Now you check here. When you run, you see the student is written. Do you write it in lowercase? Yeah, no. Let's see. When you're creating the object, your student is in lowercase. You go to line 42. The problem is in line 42. Then not that one. Just go to the
there. Because I thought that the should, because here it was starting with a capital letter. And then also,
Excuse me, Owen. Hello.
yes.
The problem is with the indentation.
No, that's one. Remember the name. Just first look at what is in the console. Name error, student is not defined. That's why I told him first to change because it was in lowercase. Now let's look at the indentation.
It's indentation.
Now also that no.
Student is not.
Student is indenting it, right? So it's not supposed to be under the def. You are not. Owen. You to help you write better code, you first click on file. Click on file. I just want to double check something. File. Go to preferences. Go to settings. Then you type format on save. Format on save. On save. Just type on save. Now you see you didn't check that. Now if all of you, if you that one, you didn't check the box, click on it. Now because it's not, you see mine, it helps me to format my code. If you don't do that in VS Code, you'll keep having a lot of error all the time. The reason why you see me, because this is just to improve on my productivity. Now, I think that part is done. You go back to your code and I tell you where another problem is. Now you look at when you are creating the object indentation should not start. You first press Ctrl S. Press Ctrl S. Okay. Now in that my student, let it start from that line of my class. The column. You see, there's a Owen.
Yes, sir.
There's a line. When you're writing a code, there's always that vertical line. Are you seeing that vertical line?
Yes.
Now make sure that student, the indentation starts from. Take it to the start. Use the backspace. The same for that. Save it. Then you are, I think you're missing one plugin. Do you have Pretty Formatter in the extension? You first run your code. It should be able to work. You first do Python 3, which, because when you do Python, it's like Python 2. Python 3, 1.py. Python 3, 1.py. Press enter. Okay, now we need to go back to your arguments.
Maybe I try here using a comma. Maybe.
Where?
Use a comma.
You're supposed to use a comma, but not in the last one. The course.
But the comma is going to add extra space.
Yeah, now it's working. Yeah, it's working now. So
okay,
I think we have solved Owen's problem. Any other person? Let's first fix error. I think people will be able to learn. Owen, put down your hand. We have solved your problem. Trevor, unmute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Question.
Because I'm also getting some error this side.
Display your screen here. Student takes no argument. I see. On that line 68, when you type student,
line 57.
57.
The init function.
The init function also. Line 57, the init function. You see, now we have very many people who are helping to see. It's double underscore. Okay.
And first try to back indent that code. It's over indented inside.
Yeah, it should also, that means it should apply to all, even the, hey. So even your comments back indent them. That anyway, it doesn't matter, but just make sure good practices. Should we double check where this guy has put the other thing format on save? Because you won't be doing all these things. That's why PyCharm is good. PyCharm will always keep telling you, as you write the code one line, it will tell you the error. So it has worked, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Then another thing that is a good.
Okay.
But let's check.
That comma adds
Trevor,
extra space.
Yes, sir.
Let's check if server has put format on save. So everyone should do that. Do that, have pretty formatter. Then, yeah, it's okay. You have it. Do you have pretty formatter?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We should expect you to write now clean code. Okay, any other? Put lower down your hand. Any other person getting an error? Any other person? Don't know what is happening. I can't see the share part of my screen. Okay, now I can see it. Any question? Let's now forget about speed, but we'll try to go up to 1 p.m. today. Any question?
Sir, may I just have a small addition, very, very small.
Okay.
Yes, like from your code, from I
Mm.
think line 651 to 653, you I just wanted people to see that
650. Okay.
yes,
51
I just
to
wanted people
53.
yes, I just wanted people to realize that the comma doesn't need space. The comma automatically adds space. So it's not like you're
Okay.
using plus in some other languages like Java.
Eh.
Yeah.
Then one thing that people should do understand, you're not going to cram all this stuff into your mind. Just make good use of. Do you use tab 9 always a lot? Oh, I think I will have to talk about it. Practices of writing a good code. Okay. Any question? Because still in objects, we can still use that same example. And then because we already done more of classes. So we can do objects, then we can make it easier. Look at it. Maybe this time round you will try with one example. Like you can try to get to maybe one practical example, especially on okay, let me give you one example, then I'll try to give you one and I see if you can if you can calculate area of a cycle. Let's see. Okay, so let's try to deal now. The problem which most people are getting, I've explained it to you. When you have tab 9 and then you put the word object, okay? Now, what happens here is that, you see, there are some people who type like this. But in good practice, it's supposed to be like that when you're commenting in good practice. That's why the pretty formatter and then format on save helps me. Even when I type something which is not right, let me just guide you. I see when I press Ctrl S, it just automatically formats for me the code. I'm just going to be explaining how when you just say Ctrl S, now you know that every time you commenting, it's supposed to leave a space here, a white space here. Now, when you put object, and as long as you've saved the file to .py, it will now know it's a Python script. And you have format on save. Once you press Ctrl save, it will just format for you your code. Then it is going to be easier for you to debug. Now let's see here. Python will not know what I want, what I'm thinking about right now, because right now I just want to have an output where I say, my name is Geoff, as simple as that. And I'm going to use a class to understand probably my name. That's what I'm going to do. So let's see it in a way like when you're using object-oriented programming, you're going to create what we call an instance of a class. So let's start with that. So the instance of a class, it's suggesting student, but I don't need student. I can call that instance maybe person. Now, once you call that, be careful because Python is case sensitive. Here you already put the class in capital letter. Once you terminate, okay, you still be careful that there's a warning. Once you see your title here is red, that means Python is expecting you to perform one more task. Now, when I press enter, I was supposed to define a function to help me perform, now here I'm defining a function to initialize like self for name and age, based on what I'm seeing on the screen. So when I press tab, that means self name is given the parameter name when you point to it. That's how you explain. Then for self age is giving the parameter age. Now, if I want to have something like, I need to be careful with what? My indentation. Okay. Now here I say, let's maybe do a greeting. So we are now going to define another function for greet. Now, then you see me, I'm using tab, checks greet self. Now, when I press enter, now it is telling me, you see, it is giving me option. Greet, hello, my name is, then self-check, name, then I am. Now you see that example becomes the best practices of writing that code. So now here, I can press tab. My age is that years old. That's why I'm not bothered so much about even writing the codes all the time, because tab 9 is doing it for me. Now, the most important thing right now is, this is where it is important. I need to create what we call, I need to create a person object. Not so? Now, I can have two persons, like maybe person 1, person 1. Now, when I be careful how you type, and I'm going to just say my person equals to Geoff 35. Nice, I have no problem with that. Now I press tab 9, then I can have my, so greet my person. Let's have this my person 1, then we can have my person 2. My person 2. There's a guy who has been commenting a lot. Was it Trevor? Let's use Trevor. You know, Trevor hardcore guys. Trevor, what's your other name? Okay, just say Trevor. Tab. How old could Trevor be? Let's just say Trevor is what? Is 25. Don't mind, these are just random data. So we have created the object for person 1 and person 2. Now, we want to access, I'm explaining it now using the easiest language. We want to access object attributes. We want to access the object. These are object. We want to access the object attributes. So how do we access the object attributes? So I'm just trying to put here access. I'm using, try even comment this to help you code readable. Access the person object attributes. Just for you to understand. Now, how do you access a person's attribute, right? That means it's just going to be person one. It's going to be person one. Just print. Now you see it's suggesting for me here. I can access the person's. I just press tab. I don't need inheritance right now. All right. Now, so I'm accessing the person one name and I'm accessing the person one age. And now when I output this, I should be able to see Geoff and his age down. Then I should be able to see Trevor and his age down. So if you come back, let me see if this is commented. Let's just try to. Always, you see this is a yellow warning. There's a yellow warning, red warning. Take care of them. Something is still warning somewhere. All right. So we have person warning here. Person is not defined. Okay. Let's just go back and check. Person is not defined. You know where the problem is? Because we commented it out. You see, when you do this, you even when you come to problems here, let me be teaching you debugging. It's something Livingston should have been doing, but he's going to do it. He's going to teach you debugging. Now, when you comment something and you see here, it's telling you person is not defined. Remember, you define it here. So you just have to just if you've just made a mistake and commented something out, then make sure here there's no problem. There's no problem detected in your workspace. Don't have any, you're supposed to work smart and don't get any problem. Now, so we have the class, person is defined. Now let's try to get the output. We can come to our terminal and clear. Then we run. So you see, Geoff is 35, Trevor is 25. Now, you could even go ahead and invoke a method that can help greet. So let's see. Because we have greet here. So let's invoke, let's what? Invoke object method so that it can greet. Now, I'm just going to just mention the words invoke our method. Let's just call it object method because so that it can greet. Hello, my name is. Okay, so that's the greet part of it. So that means it's going to greet. It's going if you invoke it for person one and person two, you expect it to greet. So I know you guys have tab 9. Can you invoke the method so that it greets and finish up and display your screen? I'm not going to finish it up. I'm going to leave you with some mind to think. Because when you call here invoke a method and you press enter, it even knows. You just get what? Tab. So yeah, save that and clear run. Okay. So it has invoked the method. Hello, my name is Geoff. I am 35 years old. Hello, my name is Trent. I am. So it's invoking that method to greet. So with that being said, in that example, you can see how easier it is to deal with what? To deal with Python objects. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to try a simple example. Okay, very simple. You're just going to create a class for cycle that will calculate, that will have an attribute radius, and then you calculate the area and then the circumference of the cycle. And let's see if you're able to calculate. Let me type for you the question here. Okay, it's not an assignment, it's an exercise. So exercise, simple, calculate. it's simple. I know Python will try to help you. Calculate the what? The area and circumference of a cycle. That's your exercise 1 for today. Think about it, but if, as long as you put, me all I know, as long as you just put the word cycle here. Now cycle, as long as you put the word cycle, I'm sure the way I've explained it, you see, now you just press tab. Then you only create an object. And you see how fast it is. It's your exercise, but I'm doing it for you. But I have very many exercises. Let me do it. I'll give you another exercise. So I just double check that, okay, all these are okay, but I can still write it in another way. But since tab 9 has suggested for me, maybe that's the best practice. Then here I can now say, I just need to create a cycle object, and it will even get to understand my cycle. Wow, it even calculated the circumference of the. Then now the only thing which I now need is to what? Calculate and display area and circumference. It's actually here. This is calculating and then displaying. This is calculating I've given you exercise. I've decided to work it out. Now, I'm just trying to show it to you how easier that can be. Oops, be careful. I'm supposed to, from here. All right. So I don't have any error. Before even you come to run, make sure here is not yellow, or they call it orange. Is it orange? Yellow and red. Make sure this is not that. And then, make sure in the problem, you don't have any problem in your workspace. Then you come and clear it here and run. So because the radius of my cycle is 5. Now, to calculate the area is what? The formula for calculating area is here. It's just define, which is 3.14 times self-radius. And the radius here, we have declared it to be what? As the object. We created the radius to be 5. Let's say we have changed the radius to 7. And we save it. We should expect a different output. So the radius is 7. The area is 153.8. And then the circumference is 43.98. And that's how Python can be used. Maybe now that you have understood this, I told you I have thousands of examples. Let me give you the second exercise. Let me give you the second exercise. The second exercise. Okay. Can you try it on a rectangle? Calculate the area of a rectangle. Should be possible. What was my first question? Exercise 1. Here you'll have to crack your head now. It's not a difficult thing, but calculate the area and perimeter. Okay, that is your exercise. Hey, I'm displaying the answers. Okay, yeah, do that. I stopped sharing the screen. I'll take questions alongside, but now you see it's easier. You know, the start is always scary. All right. I'm waiting for you to display your work. Then we'll go for a break and we do registration. So you see?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I think that exercise has already been given as an exam.
I already gave you. Let me give you another one. Thank you. Thank you for that. Let me give you another one. Let me see what you can do. I'm thinking a bit. Okay. Let's just call it exercise 2, but I just want you to look at 2 employees. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. You would perform with 2 employees to just calculate employees' bonuses. Calculate employees' bonuses. The bonus, I can tell you that can be 0.5, but you should be able to calculate and display employee.
Mr. Your screen is not visible.
Oh, my screen. Okay, that was a nice one. So what we are calculating here is we calculate and display bonus of employee. Calculate and display employee bonuses. So the bonus, I'll just say 0.5. I don't want to use words like if what, because I will confuse you a lot. The bonus is just 0.5 of salary. And then the first employee, maybe I call it employee 1. Employee 1 salary can be 150K. Then Then employee 2 salary can be 250, 220, 230. Okay. I think this problem can be solved, right? In this exercise. Is it difficult? I don't think so. So calculate and display employees' bonuses. So I just want to see bonus, but of course, apply your math, apply the operators, finish the exercise, share your screen with me. Just write that. Calculate and display employee bonuses. Bonus, of course, the bonus is 0.5. And I would have actually made it difficult because when I put 0.5, I've converted for you. It's 5%. Yeah. So that I can I can add in your life. But of course, I know you think, what's 5%? Okay. Uh, 5% bonus, 5%. Maybe we do 15%. Let's do 15%. Okay, do that. Share your screen. In the break, we're having a break of 10 minutes as you do that work. But once you're ready, you can share your screen and show us what you've done. We'll be able to proceed. I'm now creating the attendance list. So you're going to, I see the number is 118. I like it when you're introducing some concepts before. Okay. Let me see. Okay, registration. Be doing the work as I create the registration form.
Excuse me, sir. What are the figures you say we should use?
For what? Bonus? This gentleman is almost done. Who is this guy who is too fast? Ambrose, are you asking me, or are you already done?
Yes, sir.
No, access. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ruth, for recording. We have already started explaining some other concepts here on encapsulation. So what encapsulation does is, because you look at it in only 3 concepts in object-oriented programming, you want to hide the implementation of details. That's why when you put the underscore here, now you're changing the attributes for accessing the account number. Remember here in our construct, in our parameter, yes, we just said it is account number and it becomes easier. But we are trying to hide it using this single line of underscore. It makes it, it protects the code now from being accessed. Now, because traditionally, most people know you use the snake case. So when you see account number here, you would think self, when you try accessing it using this, you will get an error. Now, let me try to show it to you, okay? Now, if I go down where I want to print my, that was account number. Now, I try to print here because I want to access, and I say print. Let me save that. And let's see. Okay. No, okay. Oh, I think it auto corrects. I don't know. Okay. All right. Now, you know what happens when I try to access only account number? Okay. We're going to be interested in the account number, and we see if our data is protected. It's accessing because of maybe one more bank account. Oh, bank account. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
In the constructor, you remove the two underscores self dot. That's why it is still accessible.
I removed it. No, I put the underscore to make it, to protect it. Then I'm trying to see, because here when you are printing, you want to print account balance. Okay, so I've put the account balance back. I've protected it here. So let's see if it will print.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I think to
Yeah,
make
that is it. That is what I was talking about. Don't mind. I know what I was doing. You can explain now.
to make one of the attributes private, you have to use double underscore.
You could even use single. It's not a mandate to use double.
With single, you'll be able to access it from outside the
Excuse me,
class.
sir.
Okay.
For single underscore, it makes it protected, but when you use the double underscore, it makes it private. Private here, it means that it can't be accessed from outside the class, but protected can be accessed from. Protected is not necessarily restricted, so it can be accessed from within subclasses, something like that.
Okay, what you need to understand under protection, there are two things. You're preventing direct access from the internal state, from the outside object.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Like what you're trying to mean by protection, as if you are trying to say that we do change the variable names, because just a mere adding of that first underscore, it clearly defines that we are changing the variable name.
And okay, now in a simple language, let me now explain to you what encapsulation means in the principle of object-oriented programming. Okay, so here you're trying to operate on a data within classes. Okay, and what you're trying to do here, you're trying to make to change or represent the internal behavior of your object to be hidden from the outside world. Okay, now in this way you're trying to make sure that you can only access the interface using a well-defined way. So you can use maybe a single underscore or a double underscore. So just like I've made it in my variable to access the account number, because when you initialize the construct, you clearly see that I would actually even just say self in the variable, and then I go with self account. Now we want to protect. Which other way can you protect? Now answer that puzzle. How do you protect? Explain from there. How do you encapsulate? How do you protect your data? How do you protect your account number? Yes.
All along, I thought encapsulation is all about making your stuff self-contained. For example, all of those methods are self-contained within the bank account class, and you can only access them through creating the object of the bank account, then use that object to refer to those methods.
that is one of them. By the way, encapsulation has many goals. That's why I talked about it here. That is one of the modality of encapsulation. You see, they have three main goals. One, you can hide the object. You see here, hide the implementation of details. If you don't want somebody's details to be shown, there are so many things that, okay, you will do it in real life practice. When you come to the actual field, they say, okay, you want to access some data, like maybe in a JSON form, and you don't want to see like people's names, but just want to get. So what you do, you tend to hide it. But we will look at it in more 2 or 3 examples. I think you will try to get it. Probably maybe okay, one more person to explain it in a way he knows. But that's what I know about encapsulation, because there are many for hiding information. There are, like now here we are dealing with the bank information. I don't need to show my account number to the outside world. That's when now encapsulation comes in to help me protect my data and prevent it from any internal access from outside this object that we have created here.
Some small input.
Yeah.
Yeah, me, from my understanding in object-oriented programming, encapsulation is majorly used to hide certain informations which you don't want to be accessed from outside. You saw only little, but you hide other details.
Exactly. Exactly. That is it. That is it. I know you have learned so many programming languages, but that is it. In Python, we only try to focus on those 3 areas. We want to protect, we want to hide information. It's not used on, don't look at it in one angle of hiding. That's why I mentioned clearly here, there are 4 main goals. Hiding is one goal. Protecting is another goal. Maybe from changes, external access, and then for code modularity, it's also another goal. Those are 4 different goals. Maybe I'm implementing only one goal. Just think about it into those 4 goals. Any other way? Someone wanted to say something.
Okay, so the thing is, like, if you try to print out account number without the underscore, it won't be printed out.
Now yes, it won't be printed out. Now, what does it mean? It means you have what? Protected the data, and you're preventing like an access to it. That's one way. You can implement it in any way. That's why I've given it. I want you to understand its main goal. Okay? Okay, I think that is it for now. We will look at more examples. Let's try it with the examples I've given you and see if you can get it right. But that's how yes?
I may just have a question. Like sometime back, we've done some programming, some other languages, and they have concepts like access modifiers, for example, the private, the public, and the like. So I'm just wondering, is the underscore acting as an access modifier in this case, or?
All right. Now, to make it much easier for you to understand, when you have that attribute, because we look at you're trying to modify. Yeah, the underscore can also act as what? A modifier. But now let me just explain to you that underscore. That underscore, it's an attribute that actually is not meant for outside access of your class. If you don't want someone from outside to access So you use the prefix, that underscore. So that's the main reason why you use that. It's to me, that is the only reason why I implement it, because it helps within my class here. I'm interested within my class here. So when I use this underscore here, I'm just focusing only from the outside access of my class. I'm trying to protect from the outside access of my class. That's why I'm using it. And it's a good practice, always use the thing. Okay, let's look at one or more example. I think that would help. Okay, first try with your exercise. I'll give you one example. I don't know whether you are running away from my exercise, but just do for me this exercise. Convert this from Celsius to Fahrenheit, but make sure you encapsulate your data. If you're done, you let me know. I stop sharing my screen and
Let me share what I've done.
Then another thing, you hopefully you know the formula how to. Okay, share. Yes, Dr. Ruth is putting up the hand. Yes, Dr. Ruth.
No, it's not me. Conrad, his hand is up.
Hey. Oh, Conrad. Can unmute Conrad. Hey, this gentleman shared and
No, it's okay.
eh?
So is Conrad saying something?
Is Conrad saying something?
Maybe his network
No,
is not good.
so I was saying that it's okay. The question has been answered.
So
But members, I think you've seen how I've written my code. To encapsulate, just use the prefix underscore for your variable. That is the standard. You're preventing it from outside access. That is it. Don't think about it in a different programming language. Even if I give you all the codes I've written. Yes.
I think the confusion here, people are trying to compare implementation in Java and maybe some other language and in Python.
That is, yeah, that's the problem.
Which
in
are
Python
different.
is different. Yeah. In Python is very different. Thank you for echoing on that.
So
I know with programming languages, the moment you start, okay, like me, I've taken time without programming in Java. But we understand, okay, we all understand the concept of encapsulation. But what is the main goal of encapsulation? We're looking at it, hiding some details, protecting our from the classes to prevent it from outside access if someone is trying to access it internally. So that's why we implement that. And we use the prefix, the underscore, to do that, to implement that. So that is it. If I don't see the prefix underscore in that part, I know you have not encapsulated your data. So like now, let me first allow me get back one more. Can that person give me permission to share? I just explain one thing. Okay. So what I know, okay, just hold on. What I know in Python, if you're trying to as long as, because you can still go ahead the way we have been writing our codes. This is a variable that we initialize in our construct. Okay, we have account number. But now I say that when you put an underscore here, now that prefix underscore, it's already, and what you're doing, it encapsulates the account number. Simple. In Python, that is it. Don't think about it in any other language. You're going to confuse yourself with these programming languages when you try to just understand. See, that's why I even commented it out and I said that as long as you put this prefix underscore, you already encapsulated your account number. That is in Python. And I believe it should be much easier. Now people are throwing in, you will get it wrong. So in the same examples I've given you, if you declare, like maybe you're looking at the temperature in Celsius, I expect you, when you're using now, like yourself, self, and then, okay, even if self assert, now, and you want to encapsulate, you just underscore. In Python, you've already encapsulated. Now, let's see. Some people are saying that you use the double underscore. Let's try it here. Okay. That means I don't see it complaining. So you can also implement it using the double as underscores, as someone suggested. Because someone will not know that, okay, probably it was a double underscore or that. But that is it. That is what they call encapsulation. Just adding that underscore, you have already encapsulated the account number. Simple as that. Don't add anything onto your mindset. You will be confused. Back to the exercise. Wilfred, your hand is up. And explain.
Yeah, is Emmanuel Abdallah. Are you getting me, sir?
I'm getting you.
Yes, I have created a class called temperature converter. Then I call the method, which is run converter, in the constructor. So this constructor is not taking is non-argumented constructor is not taking anything, because I wanted this program to run in an infinite loop when somebody enter temperature in degrees Celsius and it is converted to Fahrenheit. So here, when I run the program, you can see I enter the first value you have given, which is 37, and it is converted. And the equivalent value in Fahrenheit is displayed as 98.65. So
where have you implemented the encapsulation?
It is here in the variable name.
Yes.
I use the underscore.
Otherwise, you would have just said it what? Celsius. The variable becomes what? Celsius, without putting what? The encapsulation. And I think now from that example, now people can understand.
Yes. And also we can see briefly, maybe on the encapsulation, we can see that there are methods which by default are encapsulated. Like you see init method. We're using this method, but Python has this method, but it is encapsulated.
Yes.
You can only use this method when you are in the context of a class. You can't use it outside the class.
Exactly how I explain it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I get the challenge, because these concepts are very many that we are introducing, but you will get used to it. You can't be a programmer in one or three. I know it starts from around 6 months. 6 months you can be good in Python. 1 year you can get employment. So it's over some time. Yes, Alicia. Alicia, unmute and explain. Nampera Alicia.
All right. So what I did, I created a class called temperature, and I created a constructor which takes in the Celsius as its argument. So to illustrate encapsulation, encapsulation, what I did was I added the underscore before the variable name. So then I had to create the function, this function, carry out the conversion from the degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So I created my object temperature and called the function. So when I run it, it prints out the degrees when they've been converted.
Okay, thank you. Well done, Nampera. A lady, gender balance. Let's have maybe like two. I realize that you're going to meet Livingstone in the afternoon. Let's see. Yes, Owen.
Okay, so this is my class temperature. Then I have a constructor which takes in Celsius. So encapsulation, I just here the underscore. Then I also have this str function. Actually, this is code when the class is passed on as a string. So that's what it means. So then here
Formats the string. That F formats that string.
Okay, it's formatting. Then, so here I'm calling what has been entered as Celsius and then return it to Fahrenheit. You can still, so this actually is calculating the temperature here. The method is here. So just when you just print out the class, then still also you can also maybe get a function to Fahrenheit, which will be returning the formula for changing to Fahrenheit. So here, when I create my object, my Celsius, then I pass in the Celsius degrees, which is 37. If you print my Celsius, you know here, that's what I talked about. Like when you call the class as a string, this str function will be called. So that's why when you just print my Celsius, let me try to run it here. When you just, as you can see, just call in my Celsius, just the object. So it here, it is calling the str function, which is displaying 37 Celsius is 98.6 Fahrenheit. Then maybe if you want to access it in the normal way you've been saying, then you get my Celsius dot to your function. When you call it, it will still be returning the value.
Excuse me, Damurira.
Yes.
Could you remove the underscore so that you also see whether it cannot be accessed, the error?
When you, okay, let me show it there. It won't run because here, remember, we are using the,
It's already
here.
protected.
It is here in the str function. You can see I'm still using the underscore. And actually, if you were to take out the underscores, it's still the result. It will be printed, but there won't be showing the encapsulation.
Encapsulated. Correct. Now you see how you get to understand encapsulation when you're explaining it with examples. That is it. Any question on encapsulation? Because you almost made us waste. Anyway, we are here to learn and understand. Understanding is the key thing. So let's wait for Biden.
This is an example for changing 37 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Then, first of all, I created a class called temp converter. Then I initialize my Celsius, the degrees I'm going to take in. Then I use the getters and setters in this case. Then I got the Celsius degrees I've taken in. Then I set the value. Since in get we return, then in set we just get it. We just set what we got. Then the same applies to the Fahrenheit. I just got, but what I returned was multiplying, was a I was converting the Celsius to Fahrenheit using this formula. Then I created an instance of my class. Then having created my instance, then I invoked the methods, the getters and the getter method by temp converter.get Celsius. Then I also got this and I printed out the output. Celsius is 37, then Fahrenheit is 98.
Thank you. Well explained. I think I like Zara among the girls. She's putting in a lot of effort to explain, understand, and then adding something new. Where are other ladies? Abraham, Atong, okay?
Okay, this is Atong Abraham. I have my class which is STEM converter. This one is more of what Zara has been explaining. So here I have my variables Celsius, then Fahrenheit, which are initialized to 0. Then I have the method which is set Celsius. Now this is where I applied the concept of encapsulation. So I hope you have seen the underscore here.
I've seen it.
Now, now from the Fahrenheit, I also applied it here. And then this is the formula like converting it to Fahrenheit. And then we have the get Fahrenheit, which returns the solve underscore, and then Fahrenheit is still. Now I created my object, which is converter. Now converter, and then I'm calling the set Celsius. Then I first in the variable 37. Now also here I'm calling the method convert to Fahrenheit. And also here I'm now I've declared the Fahrenheit, then still the converter dot get Fahrenheit. Now when I'm printing, I first printed like the value which I passed in, and then I secondly printed after it being converted. Now if I run, now if I run, I hope you're seeing it. At first I had 37. Now after being converted, then I now got 98.6. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Abraham. I realized you have another class in the afternoon. I thought I was the only one. So who is sharing? Okay, Sentence. Okay, you share. Now it's okay. One person, then we do one more example. Because I need to give some allowance for you to prepare for the afternoon. The good thing, I'm happy we have covered the 3 concepts.
All right, am I audible enough?
Yes, you're audible.
All right, so this is my code simply. I'm having just a few lines of code. And this is the function that will return the converted Celsius degrees to Fahrenheit. So simply, I've shown the act of encapsulation here by applying that underscore. And as well, I'm using it in my Fahrenheit method. Sorry. So when I create this object, I'll pass the degrees in Celsius that I want to be converted in the constructor. So this will be my print function, and once I print, that's the result I'll get. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. Now this is just going to be on Wilfred. Your hand is up.
Yes, I have a question for Senteza, if we can reshare his screen.
Senteza, okay. Senteza, please. Oh, we have a lady. Can I give priority to and Senteza can come back later? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Senteza, go in first. No, you go in, then the lady will come. Catherine. Yeah, I'm interested in girl child. We
All right, so the question.
Wilfred.
The question.
It is Wilfred.
Yeah. All right. Where is he?
Wilfred, where are you? Where's Wilfred? Mujawali.
So he has gone. No.
Yes,
No,
I'm speaking.
Okay, okay.
Yes, I'm asking the question. So I'm asking if what happens when we change the Celsius variable to another value, say 100.
As in when we change the Celsius variable to another variable.
No, like no.
Let me
After
see, you
after
say, and we change it to 100.
No, not from there. From you keep that at 37.
37.
Yeah, keep that at 37. There,
so
yeah. Let that be 37. Now on line, create another statement or after line 79. Enter.
Right.
So what happens when you line 80 should be that's not I mean.
I think you want to use an assignment operator, isn't it?
Yes, I want no. Oh yes, I want something like
You want something that directly changes
yes,
that
something like that.
Yes. I
So
think you want
I'm
to use
wondering
an
what
assignment operator.
As in, I'm not getting the question.
He actually pasted it in the chat. Oh, not okay. Just check in the chat how he has implemented it. Say temperature dot underscore Celsius equals to 100. So the way you have implemented it is in a different way. Just check in the chat. I don't know if you can access.
Okay, yeah, I've accessed.
Yeah.
So it's trying to say temperature dot underscore Celsius equals 100. So something like that.
You terminate with
No, that's just I made a mistake. Missed writing JavaScript. Okay. So
yes, I'm wondering what the output will be.
What the output will be.
You run and we see. But did you test it on your
But I
screen?
believe, yeah, because here you are overriding this Celsius variable with another value. So remember
my
now your question.
So my question is, if you're overriding the variable, then how is that encapsulation? Because you're still modifying the variable.
But I believe all of the code we have been writing, this is possible, overriding the variable.
But encapsulation should not allow modifying the variable.
Excuse me, I have some input.
Okay.
What I want to say is, like here, are you actually you are reassigning this value, but in the context of that very object. If it was not that object, it was not going to allow, because we are using the same object. That means it is still attached to this same object. But encapsulation is when you're accessing it in a different context, not in this particular object.
Yes, actually, yeah, for that one I support it, because if I create here another object, temperature 2, then I override it using temperature 2. Our 37 won't be overridden because this is another object we have created. And once I run it, we shall get results of the previous 32 degrees Celsius value. So,
could I also try to give some input?
Please do. This is a learning session.
As in on this very code.
On that very code.
Okay, maybe on his code. Let me just give it on his code.
Or you have implemented it in a different way. Is your
I
code
have my own
structured?
as well.
Is it structured differently?
I have my own. I can share in case.
Okay, you share and we look at it. Let's see how you have structured this code.
Okay.
Okay, so what it's supposed to be, like encapsulation, you're supposed to only be able to change the value of a variable from within the class.
We can't see your screen. I don't know. I can. Okay, I can. Now I can.
Okay, so I was saying, I think for encapsulation, you're supposed to be able to only change the value of like a variable from within the object. So any changing operation should be like under the class tag. So for example, it should be like within a function. It shouldn't be outside. So if, for example, I use 2 underscores, that means from down here, I shouldn't be able to say temp dot Celsius is equal to, let's say it's 37 here, and I want to change it to 50. It shouldn't be able to change. Hold on. So if I get it, sorry, no, not this. If I get it Celsius now, it's still supposed to bring out a 37. Let me save it and run. So down here, you see it is still 37 degrees Celsius. So from outside here, you can't change its value. But now let me use this function that I made called set Celsius with a value in it. So if I say set Celsius 40, it is going to be able to change it from within the class here, not from outside the class.
That's very true.
So let me save this and run again. If I run it, it's now, you see it's now 40 degrees Celsius because I've changed it from within the class here. So that is why we need 2 underscores. If you use 1 underscore, this line here will still be able to work. So I think that will not be encapsulation. Yeah, that's my input.
Maybe it was submission that.
You try with the 1 underscore and we see.
Okay.
No, the thing is, like, if you use 2 underscores, that will be a private access modifier. That's why you couldn't change the value outside the class, because private means only objects in that class can access them. But for encapsulation, you're hiding something from the users, other users who don't know how your methods or class is working. For example, if you check for the constructor Celsius, what you're passing in as a parameter is Celsius without an underscore. So that's what the user knows. But when you're implementing inside your code, it's like actually changing the variable name. We're using an underscore. That's why it says self.underscore Celsius. That means what others know, they only know Celsius. But you as the programmer yourself, you're implementing that Celsius using the underscore Celsius. And that is what you're going to be using even in the other methods. For example, in the get Fahrenheit method, you're using self dot underscore Celsius. But if maybe another programmer would have, someone who wanted to use your Celsius, maybe would have just only get the self.Celsius, and actually your code won't be working because there it's what others know. But since you want to make your code unique, you're assigning that variable to another variable.
Making your code unique.
Yeah, so whereby others will be able to know it. But if you are to use 2 underscores, that means you're actually going to access modifiers, whereby you're making that attribute to be private. That's why you aren't able to access it outside the class. Don't know if that helps.
Okay.
All right, guys, the best advice I can give you is go out there and try as many example. Let me give you one last example that you can try, that you will submit, then it's what I will check. Let me try to frame that example myself here and I see, because I expected that this would help me cover only 3 if we are to go the normal way, allowing you present, and that is what happened. That means we have so far failed to achieve our target of covering inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. We shall have to cover that on Friday. Hopefully we'll finish that and then also look at other concepts in the first an hour. But the concepts are not very difficult. Okay, let's see if I can give you one more example that you can play around with it. I don't know, but let me see what other examples can work. Okay, let me see. Right. Okay. Okay, I think it's going to be somehow similar or easier, because I've seen it's used so much in financial institution. Let me share and so this is going to be the assignment. Okay. This is your assignment for today. It's, I don't know, assignment 2, because we already have assignment 1. Assignment 2. Okay. So okay. Let me see. Okay. Sure. I'll make it simple. Show encapsulation. Which
okay. What was assignment 1?
No, we had assignment 1 already, which was the simple calculator. Should we call it assignment 1 for today? I hope you won't confuse it.
We won't confuse it, sir.
Okay. Show encapsulation with employee the increment. Show encapsulation with employee to give pay increment. So like we try to look at all this. Okay. How did it? So, oh. You salary. Oops. Yeah, to new salary. Okay. Can that work?
Yes.
Okay. Nice. I've tried to make it simple. But you know, under just to guide you a bit, like Geoff, my salary was this, was increased to this. Simple. Right? Right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's our assignment. We will cover inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction on Friday. We are not bad off, but yes.
Can you paste the assignment in the chat?
Oh. So that when you get the recordings, but the recordings will come late. You see, you guys have, I want to tell you one thing, you're going to be the best programmers because you have all the time, you're participating, you're trying to understand things in your own way. Like if I were you, I've already mentioned clearly here that we are going to cover inheritance, polymorphism, and abstractions. Even before you come to my class, you try practicing these things. That's why I always give you the outline of what we are going to cover. Like you see, I have even made it here. For those ones who read ahead. And it becomes easier for you to participate in this class here. I made it somewhere here. Yeah, here. So like now we have covered class, objects, encapsulation. Now we are going to inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction. Yeah. And I know we'll finish it. The only thing is when you have understood something, when you read ahead, you won't ask a lot of questions. Everything will be making sense to you. Otherwise, we'll spend time here trying to understand small concept, which is a good thing. I am happy. I'm not discouraging you from allowing us spend time to understand something. No, let's continue doing it that way. That's why I'm not rushing it. And I'm seeing now no one is even complaining in the chat. That means you're happy. Hope all of you have registered. Over to Dr. Ruth. My journey